Evanston is making headlines for making history. It is the first U.S. community to pay reparations to black residents. Or is it? Amanda Vinicky joins us to explain. Amanda.
Brandis, I'm going to start this off with political scientist Alvin Tillery. He is head of the Center for Diversity and Democracy at Northwestern University, and he is also an Evanston resident and a proud one after the action aldermen took at last night's city council meeting.
Important, it's monumental because this is not happening in Atlanta or Detroit or Philadelphia, places where there is a majority black electorate and a sort of, where black politicians hold power. It's happening in a place, where blacks are a minority, less than 20% of the population, and where there, is a majority white city council.
Now, unlike programs in which communities, often under threat of legal action, pay settlement money to living victims, we see this all the time. For example, Chicago victims of police torture under former Commander Byrd. This is different. It is meant to redress past wrongs. And Tillery says that Evanston leaders took a look at their local history
of racial discrimination in the housing market and the ways in which city government worked with other powerful entities to create a racially segregated neighborhood, Evanston's 5th Ward. And they looked at the life chances and outcomes of persons living in that ward, the vast income and wealth gaps between Evanston's black and white citizens.
Under this plan, revenue from the local tax on marijuana sales plus private contributions will fund a $400,000 program that will help black residents buy a home, do work on their home, or help to pay their mortgage. Recipients can get what's really tantamount to a grant worth $25,000. The goal here, to build intergenerational wealth among black families who, due to racist and discriminatory practices, were blocked in the past from doing so. Now, broadly, black residents who were residents of Evanston between 1919 and 1969 are eligible, as are their descendants. This action is meaningful to Bennett Johnson, who is the previous longtime president of the Evanston NAACP. He compares it to a big-time football game in his youth.
And I made the first touchdown on that field. And that's the way it feels to me, is that I'm euphoric, I'm glad it's happening, but again, it's the first step forward. You don't win the game with one touchdown. There's a series of things you have to do in order to win it.
He says the plan does have flaws. He wants more comprehensive action, including a program for active healing and discussions like South Africa did after apartheid. Other critics are less magnanimous and perhaps not for the reasons you may imagine. Evanston City Council member Cecily Fleming was the sole no vote. She says, as a black woman, she strongly supports reparations. But she says what Evanston is doing is not reparations.
My issue with that, under the banner of reparations, is that I don't think that that's reparations. I think that's a housing plan. And I think given how long people have waited for reparations in the black community, I think as much fanfare as we've had here as a city and then, national coverage to come with a housing plan, fell very short in my opinion. And I think, many in our African-American community.
$25,000 grants, $400,000 program. She says that will only mean 16 families will be able to be helped, and all of them must have either the credit or financial means to be able to buy a home. And she says that given all of the attention Evanston is getting, this is not sending the right message.
We are the first, and we're setting precedent potentially. I don't want folks in the Deep South to feel like reparations is a $25,000 grant to a bank. I want them to be respected as individuals, and I want them to be respected as the people who face the harm to decide how they want to use the money that's remedied them.
Last night's city council meeting, Alderwoman Robin Rue Simmons, who's really the architect of this plan, she said this is not the end of what Evanston is going to do. This first program is really still in its very earliest stages, but there's promises of $10 million toward reparations over the next decade.
The road to repair and justice in the Black community is going to be a generation of work. It's going to be many programs and initiatives and more funding. And so what I'm excited about is the new engagement, the new interest in what we're doing, the new support.
Backers say that this program was crafted in mind of staving off the potential for legal action. There's no certainty of that, but officials did receive a letter from a Washington, D.C. based attorney who wrote that race-based benefits defy the U.S. Constitution. Evanston, by the way, does have a local election ahead. Aldermanic contest, that is, will be decided April 6th. Brandis, back to you.
Amanda, thank you.